Top 100 indicator time. Let's go. So here we go. This was supposed to be sent out to my email list this past week, but due to technical difficulties that turned out to be not my fault, by the way. You will all be getting this top 100 indicator whether you are on my email list or not. Now I don't know why you would ever search for this, but if there's anybody who has found this channel for the first time through a search or through any other way, this is mainly a video for my following, my subscribers, and people on my email list. But that's okay. You can watch this video too. I think you will like it, but just know a few things first. So it's mainly going to be for the people who have been following this channel for a while. They know the terminology. They know what we kind of aim for here at the channel, and it's going to make the most sense for them. Still working on the fix, by the way, guys. I'm going to probably just send an email out to everybody once we get it fixed, just to say, hey, guess what, guy, girl, you are on the list. Everything is cool. Get ready for the next thing I send out, whenever that is, probably another couple months from now. So just a heads up on that. But for the new people, if you want to be on this list, all you have to do is go to nononsenseforex.com. That is the homepage for everything we do. Off to the right and down a bit, there is a little form where you just put your name and your email, and you're pretty much all good to go. If you have done that, you should be on the list. And if I send something out and it turns out you didn't get it, well, just go do it again, and then you will be on the list. And for those of you who don't know, I send out either a tip or a top 100 indicator, whatever the case is, to people that are on that list exclusively. Now, it didn't happen that way this time, which is fine, but it has in the past, and it will continue to happen as long as I'm able to keep this thing afloat. But just know in this video, not everything is going to make sense, but that's fine. What you can do instead is go to my beginners video. I will put the link down in the description below. Whether you are a beginning Forex trader or not, this channel does things completely different than any other channel or any other website, anything that you have been a part of. And it's a really good thing. I think you're going to like what you see, but you really owe it to yourself to start there. So for all my regular viewers, thank you for being patient through this first 2.5 minutes or so. It's only fair to new viewers that we catch them up a bit. But for the rest of us, here we go. It is called the SSL Channel Chart Alert. It is in my top 100. Now, when I say top 100, I do not mean really my top 50. I mean in that 50 to 100 range. For those of you who don't know, I am an indicator guy. I am an expert on indicators pretty much by default, because most people who use indicators in any capacity use the same handful of really bad ones. So they can't really consider themselves much of anything, but I have tested thousands, and I've tested them thoroughly. And out of those, I have in my possession pretty much the top 100 that I always keep around, just so I can refer back to them, plug them in on a different setting. You never know when they might come in handy. And I am sharing some of those every once in a while with you. You are responsible for finding the rest of them that are going into your system. But this is a good one. I've had some pretty damn good success with this. This indicator really helps me progress as a Forex trader back in about 2012, 2013, around that time. And it really did progress me forward nicely. And I hope in some capacity it is able to help you as well. Now, a really great thing about this indicator, if you choose to look at it that way, is it doubles as a confirmation indicator and as an exit indicator. There are a lot of you out there that are really struggling with finding a good exit indicator. So I am all but giving you one right here, but it's really important that you use them both at the same time. You're kind of tied to using both ends of this thing, and you're going to understand why once we go to my charts and take a look at it. But just understand that before we go forward. And out of all the trend indicators that we talk about, this is a chart indicator. It is the one we probably talk about the least. For those of you who don't remember, The main types of trend indicators in my trend indicators video were the zero cross, the two lines cross, and the chart indicators. Now, there's a better term for this. They go by overlay indicators, but I just call things whatever makes sense to my dumb little head, and so I call them chart indicators. And you guys know what these are. They are indicators that don't go below the chart, they go on the chart. So moving averages, Bollinger Bands, you've seen them all, you know what I'm talking about. And that's what's really important. And an added benefit to having one of these in your system is that it just makes your overall charts cleaner because you don't have a bunch of stuff underneath it. You might have that secondary confirmation indicator still sitting underneath it, but that's all you're really going to have. And so there are benefits to having one of these in your arsenal, if not more. Now, before we go look at it and I show you how to install it and use it, I talked to a few people about this indicator back when I first learned about it to get some ideas. And the only person I knew that used it actually shit on it. He was a programmer, and sometimes programmers can be good and bad depending on who you talk to. They often have this ability to overthink things, though. And this guy was like, well, all this thing really is a moving average crossover with a double shift flippity flop. And I'm like, all right, dude, you go ahead and don't use it and sit there and just talk bad about it. I'm going to go use it and see if it works. And guess what? It worked really, really well. So there's a lesson there. Don't sit there and overthink things. Just give it a try and see if it actually works. If it does, who cares what it actually is? I mean, a good number of my top 100 indicators are nothing more than just improvements on some of the dirty dozen indicators. So I just wanted to cover that before we actually got into this. So let's go ahead and go to the charts and get into it. And here we go. We are at the Euro-Yen daily chart. And what I did is you're going to see in the description a link that takes you to a place where you can download it. Sometimes putting up actual indicator links themselves up in the description can be a little tricky, so I just did it that way. Now, this is also not the place where I downloaded my original one. I had to go get it again. I've had 2 computer crashes in the last, I don't know, about 5 years, and some of the indicators I did not save on an external hard drive or a thumb drive, but I did write them down, so I was able to go retrieve them. But this is not exactly the same one I used before. So if you find this one being buggy or repainting for whatever reason, just know there are other places you can go find this. I doubt you're going to have a problem with it, but this is the first place I looked that had a good one. So let's go set it up. Now here are the inputs. And now this, the word alert is in the SSL channel chart alert indicator. We are daily chart traders. We don't really need alerts going off, and nor would you want to. And I'll go into that in a minute. So make sure all of these say false before we go any further. So we'll just leave it on the default settings on 10. Now, as far as colors go, if I have green over here, I don't really want green in here, so I'm just going to switch the long value to aqua. And then you're pretty much good to go. Now here is what we're looking for. You will notice that, when the blue line is over the red, that signifies a long, and then it will flip in between candles. And the first candle you see afterwards will be your entry candle. And like anything, remember the indicators basics video. We always wait for the candle to close before we enter. You're going to see in some spots, like right here, I guarantee you during the course of this candle, because it actually goes this far, this thing flipped short. But when the candle closed, it closed way up here, and this thing was nowhere near flipping short, and it stayed long for a while. So that's one of the reasons why you want to take alerts off, because back when this thing was teetering back and forth, you probably got a million alerts you didn't want. But always wait for the candle to close when you are trading with indicators, and this one is no exception. Now, this would have been a loss, that would have been a loss, that would have been a loss. Traders, this is where your volume indicator comes into play. These weren't gigantic losses, but they were losses you don't want, and a good volume indicator should have erased at least half of those. But when it started trending, it got good, as we can see right here. As soon as it flipped short, you would have entered here, and this would have all been yours, mitigating any losses you would have had, because this thing also acts as an exit indicator, like I said. You can just ride this thing all the way down and not exit until it flips positive again. And you would have gotten that right here. So let's see what that would have been. If we enter here, right about to here. I don't know, 335, 340 pips. Not bad at all. Now, going forward, if you remember, there's an old podcast that if you have one of these super huge, goofy candles that screw up your indicators, this one probably didn't. But you might not have entered this trade, but if you did, it was good. I know the ATR is pretty low right here. That was at least a small win. That was not, but then this was really nice. So you're kind of trading off small losses that are sometimes going to be negated by a volume indicator or a secondary confirmation indicator, and you're hopefully getting in these really nice trends, because when they're good, they are good. And you have that nice little exit indicator following the trade all the way up. So you would have entered here and exited right here. And then if all your other indicators say go ahead, you can just start going short right here. This trade's winning for sure. It had some drawdown, which might have been a little scary, especially on that very first day when it shot up the other way. But as you can see, once the candle closed, you were still within that little safe zone. This thing never flipped. Sometime in the course of the day it did, but as long as you didn't panic and you let the system do what it is designed to do, you stayed in this thing, and you reap the benefits. So this is just one example on one chart on the default settings. But once you start combining this with things and start tweaking the settings and playing with it, you can really find something good. And if I can remember, once another video comes out in the future, this indicator is going to come into play again. It is useful. Maybe not in your system, and maybe you have already found something you like better, and that's great. I hope you have. But for now, this sucker is an asset to have in your collection, and all you had to do was watch a 13-minute video that a lot of you are going to watch anyway. But for brand new viewers to this channel, you are really going to want to catch up. I will try to provide all the appropriate videos and podcast episodes down below that assist you in using this indicator, because you really have to know how important it is to let the candles close first and how to trade right before the end of the day, because those two things are really important, because you might have made a really big mistake right here, especially had you not have known those two things. But there's a real art to trading indicators, and it's not a really difficult art to learn, but once you get these things ingrained in your head, it's like riding a bike. You know, any new indicator you come across, you know how to pretty much optimize the best you can and how to get the most out of it. And that makes testing and using and trying these things out a lot easier. You need to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell. Don't miss anything. We cover everything. We talk about the stuff you absolutely shouldn't be using, because if you're stuck using some of the tools that are out there, or if you're stuck falling into the same traps that most traders fall into, it really doesn't matter what I show you. So some of those videos are super important. You need to watch those. And then we show you how to build a system that you can pretty much put on autopilot, keep emotions out of it, and just let it make money for you over and over again. Now, this is the opposite of how most traders trade, but most traders lose, and we don't want to be like them. So if that sounds good to you, come over to our site, or at least check out my beginner's video and let it kind of guide you through the early parts, and take the time to watch some of those videos and just see what you think. I think this channel is really going to be a breath of fresh air for you. But for the rest of you, click the link down below to go to the place where this indicator is. I'm glad it finally made its way from me to you after all that, and stay tuned for the podcast on Monday. We don't stop. Have fun with your new toy. Go get it.